And so I line up for the ride. The line's only like 5 minutes. I get down to the ride, strategically try to sit in the back. Person working there goes, there's a spot at the front. You come up here, sit right at the front. I was thinking, no, please don't make me sit here. Hello and welcome back to Cast the Whills. I'm your host, Will, and with me is my amazing co-host, Amelia.
Hi.
So today's topic is one I think is overdue, even though I hadn't started the podcast back then. One I'm very excited to talk about. It's a bit of a two-parter. So today's episode is going to be about my trip to Japan back in April. And there was a certain event in April for Star Wars in Japan, and that was Star Wars Celebration. So that was very exciting, but before I went to Celebration, I spent a bit of a week in Japan. I think it was 5 days.
Yeah, I think 5 before the event.
And obviously I've done a lot of Star Wars stuff, as you can see here. This is all from pre-celebration, so there's going to be a lot of stories to share about how I found all these things and the people I met along the way, which was really amazing. But firstly, why did I go to Japan?
Why did you go to Japan?
That's a great question. So I feel like most Star Wars celebrations, I specifically remember the 2017 one. That was like Last Jedi. And I think I was 15 at the time. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to Star Wars Celebration. Like, it's such a foreign, faraway concept. I'd never, ever go. And then I do remember hearing it was for Japan, but even then I was just thinking April's a busy time for uni, typically. And we were on holiday in Perth. And I remember thinking, oh, yeah, Star Wars Celebration's in a few months. I wish I could go. And then I remember you said, yeah, it's over the 1 week we've got uni off, because for in Australia we have 6 weeks and then you have a week off uni and then you have another 6 weeks, and it was perfectly lined up with that 1 week break we had. So that got my brain juices. I was thinking, could I maybe go to Japan for like a week and a half, line it up with my classes, like schedule my classes specifically
so that you don't have them when the days are going.
So I can maximize my time away. And then I think I started just by buying the Saturday ticket, going, okay, I'm just going to get a ticket.
And if you lose the money...
And if I lose the money, it was like $40 or maybe $70. It wasn't that much, right? Just to be like, oh, maybe I'll do it. And then we looked into flights a bit more. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's during cherry blossom season, which is when everyone wants to go to Japan. So typically flights to Japan are $800. And when I went, they were $2,000. But it's the cost of doing business and having fun.
That's true.
Yeah, and... originally, I was just going to go for a day before and after the event, and then I was just going to go to Japan just for Star Wars Celebration. I thought I may as well make a bit of a holiday out of it. And so, yeah, that was the origin of the trip. It was very impromptu. It was like 2 months before it, I think.
I think less.
Less, yeah. So most people would have been planning over a year in advance, getting their tickets, sitting on accommodation, flights and all that. But I was thinking 2 months before, I was like, oh yeah, I could just figure it out. And accommodation, I went to the Appa Hotel. It was one train station before Disneyland. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a really good hotel. It was a great price as well. I was very happy with it. And so it was a very last minute impromptu trip. Considering most people have spent like a year planning out what they're going to do and all these things. And I remember I invited you to come with me. Why didn't you come to Star Wars Celebration Japan?
Because it was during university season. And you didn't go only in our break. You went partially over classes. And I had a quiz that I had to take in person. Yeah. So I couldn't go on this fun trip.
That's fair. And we have a very... funny story about your university quiz and Star Wars Celebration in the next episode. Yeah, that was a good memory I have. But so that was the context for the trip. And so speaking maybe about Japan broadly first, I know it's not a travel podcast, but I'll give my thoughts. As everyone said, Japan's amazing, very cheap, which is really nice. The food's great. The people there are amazing. I found especially as a solo traveler, it was really good because there are crowds everywhere. And obviously I would have loved to have had you there, but it was kind of nice not having to worry that you always had someone with you the whole time.
That's true,
get lost in a crowd.
You just need to worry about yourself.
I could just power through people and just, shoulder bash them. Not that I was doing that, but like trains, I could just jump on a train quickly. And look, there were times where I was like, I would have liked to share this with someone, but there were some other things I'll get to later where I was able to backtrack 3 times somewhere, which I think if you were traveling with someone else, you would have been great about this. But some other people you might know in your life probably would have been a little bit unhappy if you backtracked 3 times in a day to somewhere. But that's the fun of solo traveling, is you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
But the downside is you don't have anyone to share it with. But I think, you know, Japan is one of those countries that's so busy, there's so much to do, there's so many people. Solo traveling is a good way to see it and experience it. So overall, I really like Japan. Beautiful gardens. They had a lot of natural parks there, which are really nice. And I think that's it, just for giving a brief overview of Japan. You don't need me to tell you that Japan's a great place to travel to, obviously. So yeah.
Did you want to talk about seeing people in Star Wars clothes, getting dinner, and meeting people?
So one of the fun parts of having Star Wars Celebration in Japan and then traveling there a bit before, obviously there's a lot of people in Japan, but every now and then you'd see someone walking around like a Star Wars t-shirt, and very rarely and infrequently you'd see someone in a Culture King shirt.
Oh,
I know exactly where you got that from. I remember I was walking at the lights went at the crossroads for the Emperor's Palace. I remember looking across, there was this guy with his wife or girlfriend, and I think they both had Star Wars shirts on. I think he had like a Republic Commander and she had a Jedi shirt on. I looked over to him and we just like nodded to each other and we kept on walking. And it's just that, it was a nice, once again, community moment of, I'd never seen these people again. I was never going to even talk to them. But it was just that recognition of like, we're here for the exact same thing. So that was really fun. And yeah, you just keep on seeing people out on the streets. There were rumors, actually, it was true, that I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were like in Japan a few days before, so everyone was getting like photos with them at different shops and just like seeing them. I think people seeing Hayden Christensen around. So, you know, in my head, I was always like, "Am I going to see someone? Am I going to see
Keep
someone?"
your eyes peeled.
So getting myself really excited. The other thing was the weather. The weather was an interesting time of year. It was a bit on the cooler side, but it was a type of weather when you're in the sun, it's boiling hot, but when you're in the shade, it's freezing. So you couldn't dress for it appropriately. That was really annoying. And then getting dinner with some people, it was because I was traveling by myself. I saw there was a Star Wars Celebration group and they created a group chat for people that are solo traveling. And in the group chat just said, "Hey, does anyone want to catch up for dinner?" And one guy responded. And so we caught up that night and there was this beer hall that had, I think, like 1,000 beers on tap or something.
Wow.
And so we were very different, contexts and stages of life. We were having this amazing conversation about Star Wars and travel and just life generally, but that was an amazing conversation. So we went there and then we went to like, I think 2 other restaurants after that, just kind of like hopping around and trying different food. He introduced me to quail eggs, which they were actually not that bad. I don't know if I'd order them again, but they were quite enjoyable. And so that was another little example of community, of just like meeting a random person and, you start talking about Star Wars, but what you like, what you maybe don't like as much, and what you get along and have that middle ground. But he did a lot of charity work, like, in Australia we have our kind of like Good Friday where people will dress up and then they'll go to hospitals. He kind of did that in America. And he was located in Hawaii, I think he was saying. So he was telling me about like the Star Wars scene out there, which is really fun. So it was just another example of someone I would never otherwise meet in my life because they're just from a different country, different stage of life, different background and all that. But we're just having this amazing conversation over one thing we had in common. And otherwise, I think I said earlier, I'm going to go on it again. The food was incredible. As everyone knows, the 7-Elevens are fantastic. The cheap sushi there was, especially for the celebration days, which we'll get to in the next episode, the 7-Eleven sushi was a lifesaver when you're lining up for a few hours. It was great. You could just pop by, grab like an entire banquet for less than $10 and, drinks out in public from a vending machine were like $2. So
not bad.
It was really good, but yeah, it was just so good just like seeing other Star Wars fans out and about, whether it was at like the Gundam Museum or at the multi-level stores or Shinshibuya Crossing or at the Emperor's Palace or on the train even, especially because I was on the Disneyland. I was a stop before Disneyland, so you saw a lot of like Disney people going in and out, and a lot of people that were there for Star Wars went to Disneyland as well. So you saw a lot of Star Wars people coming in and out. There were a few people in my hotel that were there for Star Wars. So it was really fun. The other thing I really enjoyed was the hot baths, which if you know about them, they're a bit different, a bit putting yourself out there a bit. But that was another great thing, just chatting to people. So
yeah, you probably wouldn't have done it.
No.
Otherwise.
I probably wouldn't have, yeah. So it was a really great experience, meeting all these people and just seeing people out in public. Yeah.
Did you want to talk about the stores you went to?
All right. So I'm going to do my best to try to go in chronological order And there's going to be a lot of, I'll move on 10 minutes later and be like, oh, I forgot to mention something. So the first shop I went to, it was I should know the name of these landmarks, but it's like I won't say an imperial palace, but it's a significant building. And I think it's a place of worship. And of course, me being me, I left that place and then got like a half an hour train somewhere. I checked Facebook and someone said, oh, there's a Star Wars vintage shop right next to that landmark. And I was like, oh, God.
Back we go.
Back we go. So I did some stuff with that. I can't remember where I was, but then I went back and it was this incredible vintage Star Wars shop. It was all obviously Japanese, but the most random thing, I think, which gives you an idea, they had the Pepsi bottle caps from Phantom Menace where they had like figures on top of the bottle caps. Cool. It was so weird, yeah. So it was really fun, but the most impressive thing they had there, which this was my first instance of spending a lot of money without caring on the trip. There was a lot of vintage stuff when the movies originally released. So there was some stuff obviously from the new Disney era because there's a lot more stuff made for that. So as you can see, there's some Rogue One and Force Awakens stuff there. They're movie programs, and I think it might be a thing just in Japan, but when they have a premiere for a movie or a new movie comes out, they'll have like a magazine for the movie you get for free when you buy a ticket, which I think's great. I haven't opened them yet because I'm a bit like precious about them. And so it was great talking to the guy that owned the shop. Obviously, he was enthusiastic about Star Wars. He had all these like figures from the 70s even. Obviously, some of them a bit more pricey, but even had toys from like 2015, which were kind of retro, I guess, now.
Yeah.
And the thing I was so glad to get... Actually, I'll get to that later. They also had, it was so funny, these novelizations of the movies in Japanese. So I think I bought it for Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Attack of the Clones because that's some of the only ones he had.
Yeah.
It was the type of thing I was at the checkout. I'd see something on a shelf and be like, can I have every single one of those things on the shelf? Because there was only one of everything, so you get your scarcity consumer mind. So you're like, I need it before anyone else can get it.
Particularly your Star Wars scarcity.
As a Star Wars fan, yeah. And there was a great like mini Rogue One poster over there. So there was some great collectibles. But the one I was shocked that no one else had bought. I don't know, because I'd seen on the Facebook group a lot of people had already been to the shop before, and I don't know if I just like found it in a hidden corner, but it was this program for Return of the Jedi from 1983, which Return of the Jedi I think is my favorite movie, and it has the poster on the back and the front, and I've never opened this. Should I open it right now?
Do you want to?
Let's go, podcast exclusive. I'm going to open this right now. This was $10 Australian.
Not bad.
If the guy knew, I would have paid $50 for this. So this is a podcast exclusive. You can discover with me. Okay, so it's got like a background synopsis on the movie maybe.
Nice.
And just flicking through it. Okay, it's got some behind the scenes photos and just like some scenes from the movie. And because I bought another one of those books that it was a behind the scenes book and obviously I haven't opened it. Oh, it's very interesting. It's got like a whole bunch of just think photos from the movies and you can select the cast there.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's really interesting. I'm actually glad I opened that because I don't think I ever would. Oh, it has like a page for all the aliens.
Clever.
That's fun. What else is there? Sorry, you can just this can be my first book review episode. Me looking at things going, wow, I really like that. Oh, there's this one as well. I'm wondering, would you get this program? I got one for Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker and Rogue One because this has spoilers in it.
That's true,
so do they get this to you before the movie or after the movie? Because I just saw some spoilers in there for Return of the Jedi, and I don't know, maybe we should open the other one some other time. But that was another, this was something I was really happy to find. I would have paid a lot more money for it. I was very happy to find it. And yeah, this one was very special to me because I love Return of the Jedi, so I took good care of it until now where I just ripped it out of their packaging and just flimsying it around just to see. So that was really one of the highlight stores, I'd say, was finding that sort of had all this retro vintage stuff, like hole-in-the-wall shop, and they had stuff from like, I think they had Empire Strikes Back was the earliest stuff, but they had stuff up to like Mandalorian. So they'd really done like a broad view of Star Wars, which was really cool. No vintage Lego, which I was kind of hoping to find a bit of, but I found a Return of the Jedi
small wins
magazine. I was really happy about that, and the cost was really good. Yeah, I know you should be worrying about price when you're traveling, but when you're on a Star Wars trip, and we'll get to it in the celebration episode, you're spending a lot of money on this kind of trip, so it's good to maybe not spend too much money at the beginning.
Yeah. What about the kitchen store you went to?
So the kitchen store, that was a few days later, and that was a shop I was kind of done around midday, and I just quickly Googled Star Wars shops Japan, or Tokyo, sorry, because I was only in Tokyo for the week and a half. I didn't really want to travel outside just because I didn't have that dog in me. And it had one place there, like, oh, for a limited time, they've got some Star Wars merch crossover. So I thought, all right, let's make a 50-minute train ride out. So that was fun. And then it was in this shopping mall. So you're trying to find your way around the shopping mall, which obviously don't speak the language, which is my fault. And I eventually came across the store. So this little thing at the back, I bought. It was funny. There was like this massive department shop where they had one shelf for Star Wars, but I was like, hey, I'm in
here.
for it. So it was there the chiller bag, which is that blue beige bag. They also had it in the Empire. It was like grey and black, but I was thinking, all right, I've got enough grey and black Empire things as it is. So I got that. They had some mini kitchen bags, which I've started using for my TTRPG dice. It's a good bag for that. And they had chopsticks. So that was fun. I thought, I'm here, may as well. So that was another fun purchase I made. And then I think similar to that day where I was just like Star Wars shops anywhere, there was a department store somewhere. I can't remember where it is in Tokyo, but there's this one place where just all the shops are 6 stories. And there was one floor dedicated to Star Wars. They had a lot of the Konami toys there, a few Hot Toys and some other things. And I went to another shop a few doors down, and they were like more a kid's toy store. Obviously, I went in there. And on the 4th floor, they had like a little bit of Star Wars stuff because my mom wanted some Hello Kitty stuff, so I had to grab some for her quickly. But they had these Star Wars teacups, which were really incredible. So they had 3. Obviously, I got 3. So this one, I think, is a bit more A New Hope. It's like C-3PO, Stormtroopers, and a Star Destroyer. Then this one's a bit more like the creature feature one. We've got Yoda and some Ewoks on the back of it. And then this one, we've got Jabba and Darth Vader and some Stormtroopers and the Falcons. I think this is more meant to be like a Tatooine aesthetic, but I like to make it a little like, you know, the original trilogy. You've got the episode 4, 5, 6 kind of set up. Make that a bit neat. Another thing that is big there is the gacha machines. These are, I'm glad I don't watch anime, nor am I into it, because there were so many machines for different animes, and I knew some of my friends, if they were there, they would have spent a lot of money. But I was very glad that I'm not into all those anime TV shows and movies, only Star Wars. So what I'd have to do, I'll put into Google Star Wars gacha machines Tokyo, and they'd have a map showing where every Star Wars machine is, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
So I went into one of those multi-story floors and I found a machine which had these in it. And obviously you're not guaranteed which one you get. So I spun. First time, I think I got, Palpatine. Second time I got Maul. Third time I got another Palpatine. And this is when I went, am I gonna
How long
keep
are we doing this
until
for?
I get Darth Vader? Because it was $5 each. Or
Ooh.
500 yen each, which is really like maybe $6. And I remember thinking, what else am I saving my money for? So I spun one more time. I got Darth Vader. And
Very
so
lucky.
I had a spare Palpatine. So you're probably wondering, where is that spare Palpatine now? That is another story for the Star Wars Celebration episode. That's another little special moment I had there. So those were fun. We only actually opened them up 5 minutes before recording.
Yeah.
I had them in the little ball. They each came in one of these kind of ball things. And that's how you could tell who was in which, because they were color coded. And so, yeah, that was a fun thing. So I was like, you have to do a gacha machine while you're there.
Surely.
I found another machine. It had, imagine how much money I would have spent on this. They had miniatures of each poster of each movie.
Ah,
So they had like
okay.
11. And then like there's 2 secret ones. And I remember thinking, I don't think I should. No.
Yeah.
Not a wise financial
Just best
investment.
not to.
I was thinking originally, maybe I'll do it just to get episode 3 and 6. But then I was thinking, if I got like 5 out of 6 or 7 out of 9, I'm going to try
You're
to
gonna
string the
finish.
last. Anyway, they had another one that's for like lightsaber hilts, which was cool. But I didn't want to just collect, because I was already buying a lot. I didn't want to like really double
Collect
down,
stuff.
buying.
Yeah.
And then, so that was it. What else do I have there for?
Toys R Us?
Toys R Us. I had a quick look through. So I thought classic toy shop, love Star Wars stuff. They just kind of had stuff you'd find here.
Yeah.
Really, they had like the Black Series helmets, lightsabers, action figures. There was nothing exclusive there. I guess the cool, because I know some of the people I met at Celebration, they bought action figures in Japan that you could get at home because it had like Japanese on them.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I was like, yeah, that's fair enough, but that didn't really entice me enough. I think like buying a clone trooper helmet that's like, this big, trying to shove it in your suitcase, That
Not
was
a good idea.
Maybe we'll talk about the flight home at the end of the episode because that was very funny, but worth it because we're here now.
True.
And I feel like I've got some other things before I have to get to... Oh, the Disney shop.
True.
The Disney shop, I thought, surely they got to have some Star Wars stuff there, right? So went to the Disney shop and they had this cool thing, probably a better word for it, where you could go on this like iPad and you could choose the design and then choose the shirt it goes on. So you could choose the color of the design, the color of the shirt, so you could kind of design it yourself. And so what we're wearing now is from the Disney shop. So those are some fun designs. And I keep talking, maybe if you want to show those off, those shirts off. So they obviously you've got the anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, and I think it was like 45 years of Empire Strikes Back. So I got, I think 6, not that one comes later. That's a different shirt. Yeah. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. That one, yeah, so I went to get them printed. They said about a 5-minute wait time. 50 minutes later, I'm still waiting for my shirts. They were very polite about it. Obviously, I wasn't annoyed. I was like, look, you're just doing your job. If the shirts are taking a while to make, then, you know, it's a fact of life. And the shop was cool to look around because I had some other, like, blind bag, like, starfighters. And I was like, I'm not going to spend money on that. So, but that was fun. I was happy to wait around for that. So maybe we'll get to that shirt now. So a big thing for Star Wars Celebration were the Hot Toys exclusives. If you don't know what Hot Toys are, they are a 1/12, I think, scale replica of characters usually. And they're meant to be highly detailed figures. And in Australia, they usually go for about $500 to $600. So you're paying a lot of money, but they're highly detailed, high quality figures. And for Star Wars Celebration, they reveal and sell exclusive figures that you can only get at Celebration itself. So they had concept art Darth Maul, which is pretty cool. They had like a Grogu, which was a bit of fun.
Classic.
There was another one I can't remember. Then they had Darth Vader comic book style. What was cool, they had red and blue on him as if there was a lightsaber fight in front of him, like reflecting on his armor. And the coveted one was the Cherry Blossom Stormtroopers. That was a Stormtrooper just with some Cherry Blossom designs on him. That was one people really wanted. And Hot Toys had a shop in Tokyo. And if you went there, they actually had the 5 figures out on display before the event. So you could actually see them in person.
Yeah.
I found Vader was just a bit too... The colouring didn't look too right on it. But the Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper, I was thinking, I want this. And very trusting of them. They had it on like a glass case, but there was no like top on the glass case. I was like, what if I just grabbed Grogu and just put it in my pocket? I didn't do it, obviously, 'cause that's wrong. But I remember seeing them and thinking, oh, I wonder what happens afterwards. Does an employee just going to take them home? Because there'd be strict embargoes and rules, because if they're exclusive to a celebration, they can't just let someone go home with it or sell it. But it was cool seeing, because I've seen a few Hot Toys in Melbourne, but most shops only have like 3 or 4 on display.
Yeah.
This had every Hot Toy on display, so all the Marvel and Star Wars, and I think they do DC as well. So it's cool to see some of the Star Wars ones. I was tempted, I think maybe I might get a Darth Vader one, because it's very detailed and it's very well presented, and you can pose it quite a bit. And Hot Toys, they do keychains, like lollipop pop things. They're not actually lollipops, whatever it is. So that was a cool store, and they did have some exclusive shirts. So if you want to try that one, I was painstakingly trying to figure out my size, and so I ultimately went for this one. And because the issue is, in Australia, I'm about a large, but in Japan, I was like between a small and a medium, I think, or medium and large. It was always inconsistent. It was hard to find consistent sizing, which will be another issue in a future episode. So that was another fun shop, the Hot Toy shop, because obviously a lot of Star Wars fans went there to see the figures before the release. So you chatted to a few people saying, oh, which ones do you want? Everyone wanted the Stormtrooper. That was like a given. And the one I was forgetting, it was Nightfall Anakin. So that's when Anakin turns to the dark side before he becomes Darth Vader. And he came with this really cool base of like metal behind him and all this stuff. So that was one people really wanted, because we hadn't really had a dark side Anakin before. And I think, Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper was the top one. People were interested in concept art more, because he had a beige like jacket on and his horns looked much different. So it was a very cool aesthetic, but for that much money, I don't know if I was too interested in the concept art. And now I'm trying to figure out, is that it before? I
think that might be most of it. Do you want to talk about Disneyland?
I'd love to talk about Disneyland. So obviously, I had to go to Disneyland because you're there.
When in
I
Japan.
was one train stop away, so it'd be silly for me not to. It was
Yeah.
great. I was a 5-minute train away, whereas people I spoke to had to train for like an hour or over
Wow.
an hour. A long day at Disneyland, an hour is a long time to sit on a
It
train.
is, yeah.
That's if you get a seat, mind you. And
Indeed.
so the main things for Star Wars in Disneyland, there actually wasn't that much. I was expecting a bit more. It's not like America. Is it LA that has Galaxy's Edge? Is that the one I'm
I think
thinking
so.
of? So yeah, Galaxy's Edge is a Star Wars theme park, like an entire area dedicated to just Star Wars, and they have the Falcon, they have character actors there. This one, they just had one ride and like a third of a merch shop. So they had the merch shop, it was like cheap plastic lightsabers. I think they had one exclusive collectible pin, so people who are into pin collecting, they obviously bought up on it. But I went on the Star Tours ride, and that was a fun ride. So as soon as I got in, like 8 or 9 a.m., booked it for Star Tours. I think most people went for like Frozen or Splash Mountain, because I think Frozen would have like a 3-hour wait times at certain parts of the day. Straight for Galaxy, Star Tours, sorry. And it was great because as you're walking through, you've just got all these animatronic aliens around you. You feel like you're in like a cruiser.
Disney do lines well.
They do. They
Yeah.
do make the line experience really entertaining. And other rides they did as well.
Maybe
but
not
Star
for
Wars
3
was one
hours,
especially
but
where you could see like a Mon
for a short time.
Calamari is above you and he's getting the ship cargo ready. And you've got some of the pit droids, messing around. And then you walk in and like R2 and C-3PO are like yelling at each other. And I was getting weirdly emotional because the funny was I was like booking it through the line because no one else is there. So you're trying to just get to the front straight away.
But still take
I
it
was
all
like,
in on the
you're
way.
trying to take it all. It's like taking photos quickly, all this stuff. And look, the funny part was everything's in Japanese, so I didn't even know what C-3PO was saying, but it was still just fun.
Yeah.
They had like an infrared camera, so obviously everyone's waving at it, being like, I'm on the camera, not realizing they're lining up for 10 minutes. Anyway. And then you get to the ride and they had like 6 little pods. And, you go into one of the pods with about 30 other people, you put your glasses on. And the ride was pretty fun overall. The only thing was obviously my fault, but the ride was in Japanese. So the premise of the ride is it's, I think, set after episodes. It's a weird timeline. It's set when it's set. And you're on a cargo ship with C-3PO and then in like a rebel hangar. And then the Empire arrive, and then C-3PO is like, I assume from the context clues, C-3PO was like, we gotta go. And it's fun. They have a probe droid come down to your ship and scan the room, and then it shows a photo of one person who's like wanted by the Empire, which is funny.
Yeah.
And obviously Disney do a great job. You're in the seat, but you feel like you're jumping in space. The hyperspace jumps, everyone's screaming.
Those rides are always surprisingly good.
I know,
I go
'cause
into
you're
them
in a
thinking I'm
chair
going to be
going like-
disappointed, but
Yeah, you're sitting
They
like
do a
this
good job,
and this
yeah.
on a ride, and it's surprising how much you feel like you're in a ship, and you're shooting away at TIE fighters, and you jump to hyperspace, and like they push you back, and everyone's yelling. And then they do, like R2 does, if you like barrel rolls, and everyone's like, whoa. And then what they'll do, this is like the RNG part of the ride. At 2/3 way into ride, you'd get either Mandalorian and Grogu, Ahsoka, or Cassian Andor coming up to you, once again in Japanese, but I assume they're saying something along the lines of, I have a very important mission. It's like any Disney ride.
Yeah.
Only you can save the MacGuffin. You need to go. Thanks for your help. It was kind of like that. They would have Mandalorian and Grogu, and it was funny because they had the 3D glasses. Grogu was like pushing one of those frogs into your
Aw.
face. Yeah, it was funny. And so then you go and you like fly amongst the whales from Ahsoka and you fight some pirates, and that was fun. And then obviously at the end they're like, thanks for helping, or whatever they have to say, and then you jump to hyperspace and the ship slams down. Amazing experience. When you're in, obviously the people who got there at 9 a.m. were clearly the Star Wars nerds like me. And so I just started chatting to some of the people when you get off the ride, and obviously everyone's there for celebration. But it was good just to see what they've done so far, what recommendations they had, and what they're going to do at Disneyland for the day. I think I hung out with one person for a little bit, which is kind of nice. And
I think you went on day 4 as well, so you still had a day
I did that
afterwards
after.
for any recommendations.
Yeah, which is really handy.
Yeah.
And look, Disneyland briefly, it was good fun. Maybe as a solo traveling 23-year-old, I don't think it's made for that kind of person.
Possibly
I think
not,
you maybe
but-
should be with someone or children. Look, I had fun. They had, the minecart ride. They had Splash Mountain.
Classic.
They had like some canoeing rides where you canoe with people. They had, this is. I'll tell you this because it's a funny story. I got to the end of the day and I was thinking, all right, I've done most of the rides, but it's time to go home. I remember saying, they had It's a Small World Marvel theme. But I was like, all right.
Ah.
Yeah, it was like Marvel. It was like Groot took over, so it was like Baby Groot themed, but they had all the Marvel characters in the. It's a
That's
smaller
funny,
ride.
yeah.
And I was thinking, all right, yep, 23-year-old solo traveler.
Let's do
Should
this.
not be on. It's a small world, but hey, whatever. I'll just sit at the back of the ride. And so I line up for the ride. The line's only like 5 minutes. I get down to the ride, strategically try to sit in the back. Person working there goes, there's a spot at the front. You come up here, sit right at the front. I was thinking, no, please don't make me sit here. So I just sit on like It's a Small World, just sitting at the front by myself going, I just have to live through the next 10 minutes. Everyone's probably staring at me, even though they're not. But it was fun. They had like Doctor Strange doing It's a Small World and Iron Man and Captain America. It was a fun ride, but
That's funny,
I wish I was sitting at the back like I gunned for. Another fun ride, this was a big character moment for me. When I was like 10 or 12, we went to Disneyland in America, and the Haunted Mansion terrified me. I remember I couldn't sleep for a few nights after going on that. It was a tough experience for me the next few nights after doing the Haunted Mansion. So I remember thinking, I was like, I wanted you there because I was going to be scared. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to man up a bit. I'm going to go into the Haunted Mansion ride by myself.
I can do it.
And I'm not going to be scared. So yeah, I get on the ride, and I remember thinking, oh, this is not scary at all. The only part that was somewhat scary, like I was actually a bit jumpy, was when you're in like pods and you're just like pushed through the rise pretty much, like any Haunted Mansion ride. But there's a part where like you're going backwards down a hill and there's things like popping out left and right into you, so you can't see where you're going, and you start that was the only part that like weirded me out. But the other stuff I was like, oh yeah, I'm not 10. Right.
This is made for children.
But yeah, Disneyland was a fun day. Look, the food is Disneyland food. Overpriced, okay-ish.
Fun.
Yeah, they had a lot of Donald Duck stuff. Donald Duck, yeah. Because it's like his anniversary.
Oh, you
So
mentioning
happy,
that,
I think it was like 80th birthday.
Okay.
So, happy birthday to him. They had a parade for him. They had a lot of merch themed after him, so I'm sure some people were really into that. So yeah, Disneyland was good as a Star Wars. Like if you went there just for Star Wars, there's a bit to do. I think I went on the Star Tours ride 5 times. Because obviously
I would have done the
I
same.
had to get each character. Even though I couldn't understand what they're saying, I had to see him being like, I know that character. Yeah. So, yeah, and the ride was fun. And it was always fun with people. It's their first time. You could like, you're like, oh, and like you could jump to hyperspace. It was a fun ride. Had to do it, But if I went to Disneyland again, I'd probably go with other people, maybe not on my own. And that, I think, takes us up to the ticket experience, which... Maybe in Celebration, we'll talk a bit more about the Celebration prepare, but I'll talk about the ticket pickup because that was technically in Japan, part of the Japan trip. So they did ticket pickup, I think 2 days before the event or 3 or 4 days before the event, a bit of time. And I very unwisely went the first day they were available. Clearly, everyone else had this idea. Keep in mind, for context, if you went the day after or 2 days after, there wouldn't have been any lines to pick up your tickets. You would have just walked in, grabbed them and moved on. So the day I went, I got on a train and there were some people from my hotel which were also going there. So I just started chatting them. I was like, hey, I'm by myself. Can I hang out with you guys? And they were really nice. We were talking. It was their like 10th celebration.
Oh, wow.
So they were telling me all of like the strategies and what to do. They said it's a line simulator, which I came to learn that. But they were very lovely to talk to. They gave me a very good idea, which was at Celebration, you buy a lot of t-shirts. And they had bought hundreds of shirts over the years. But they made a quilt out of all their shirts.
That
which
is
was
clever.
a nice way to see the designs.
And keep them but not have stuff.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So that was, in the next episode, I bought a lot of shirts. And I remember thinking, how am I going to, this is not sustainable. But it's a good idea because it's a good way, because you can only wear one shirt at a time, right? So when you buy 20 shirts, it's a bit
of a rotation.
Yeah, a bit of a rotation. Yeah. So that's why maybe making a quilt out of it is nice. And they were telling me about other celebrations, actors they've met. One person got his lightsaber signed by Harrison Ford. It was like a send-in one, but he was telling me that story about the stress of sending it through the mail and then hoping it got home. And they just left it on his porch lying around. Wow. And he had it signed by like Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, Harrison Ford.
And they gave it authority to leave?
He didn't.
Oh.
He didn't give authority to leave, and he had it insured and everything. So It was great to get that perspective of, I was just, like I'd been to Supernova the month before. So I just started my
poster.
Yeah, poster, autograph, photo, adventure. Yeah. And these people are saying, yeah, it's terrifying when you get to the top end. So it was great to kind of get their wisdom of how do you approach Celebration, because it's one of those things you kind of need a degree in Star Wars Celebration to attend. It was very stressful. So you go to the ticket, and for whatever reason, Oh, because I got the tickets late. I didn't get any of the pre-sale merch, which a lot of the pre-sale merch, it was just Star Wars Celebration
The
logo.
logo.
It was the logo, or it was the key art. It was Darth Vader with Mount Fuji and the flag. And it was a nice piece of key art, but I didn't get it. So there was like a 2-hour line if you were getting your ticket and merch. There was a 2-minute line if you were just grabbing your ticket. So I was just waltzing my way on by.
Okay.
I remember at first though, I think I was in the line for 20 minutes because I was hanging out with them. I was kind of like, I'll kick it with them. But then someone in the line, like someone working there, said, "Oh, if you haven't got any merch, there's a fast lane." I was like, "Nice to meet you guys. I'm going to the fast lane." So yeah, I got my tickets quickly and got these 3 little things. If you want to hold them up one at a time, because they're quite small and I don't want to reach over. But this is the badge art they had for the event. So the tickets had this art on them. Obviously not the 3 days. So that one was of Luke Skywalker. I got the Mandalorian and Grogu and Darth Vader. They were $40 each, which was, when you're there. So I picked them up as well when I got my ticket because that didn't count as pre-sale merch. Because, you had to buy that at a separate time. That was stressful. That was getting on straight away, being in an online queue for 40 minutes and half of them sold out as soon as you got into the shop. And so they also there had said if you pick up, because they want people to pick up their tickets before the event so that people aren't,
Lining up on
the first day. They had exclusive T-shirts you could only buy at the ticket pickup, which, Star Wars fans exclusive. You already know what's going, lines. What the key issue was that they did at this thing, which whatever reason they did it like at the Disney shop where you'd line up, you pick a print, pick a T-shirt color and they'd press it there, which I guess is cool to say, they made it there. But if they just handed it out of a box, I think people would have been fine. So that line to get one shirt, it was one per person printed. It was about an hour and a half to 2 hours, some people were saying.
Gee.
And obviously some prints sold out, some shirts sold out. And I remember thinking I don't think many people were thinking, because it was pressed in front of me, it's worth more. It was like, it's a shirt.
Yeah.
So another example of the exclusivity of that. So that was a fun thing. Then I went to the Gundam Museum and there was obviously Star Wars people at the Gundam Museum. I didn't go into the museum, but I looked at like the gift shop and they had like a massive Gundam out the front, which is cool to see. And one really fun thing actually, when you got off the train to go to the ticket pickup, and it was fun, like when you're getting off the train, everyone's booking it as if like it's going to make a difference to how long you're lining up. Everyone's booking it. But it was fun as you're getting off the train station. They had all of the posters and art for Star Wars Celebration, which was the first time I think in
cool.
Tokyo or Japan people were seeing art in public of the event. So you walk off the train station and you see the key art with Darth Vader, and they had little like horizontal banners that said, welcome to Star Wars Celebration, like Chewbacca, Grogu, Yoda, and all of them. So it was fun. I think it was the first time it felt real that you were going to Star Wars Celebration when you saw the art and the banners for the event specifically and people there, and you're thinking, this is real.
I'm actually going.
And I'm actually going to Star Wars Celebration. And what else was fun, I noticed on the way back from picking up my tickets and going to the train station, that train station had some Star Wars merch there. You know me. I see Star Wars merch. I buy Star Wars merch. There was one day I had a really heavy bag because another thing was Kit Kats are a big thing in Japan.
They are.
And they had 20 different flavors of Kit Kats. I had a lot of people back home that wanted Kit Kats. I think I bought 30 bags of Kit Kats.
There was a lot.
It's a lot of bags. And I was carrying them in my backpack or on my arm, and I was carrying other stuff, and I was like sweating because it was a hot day. It was going into my arm. So that was another thing. I was like, your bag is heavy a lot of the time because you're buying a lot, which is fine. But
good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. And so at this train station, they had, which was really hard to find. Other shops had it, but no one could find it. It was this Star Wars cookie quote box, which I've not opened yet, but I think I've learnt my lesson. I just need to open and enjoy it. So I think after this episode, we might open and enjoy it. So I've got little quotes like "I'm your father" on there, and like Japanese wafer biscuits. And so they also had the episode 1 to 9 tin, which has like a poster of each movie. Once again, it's just a glorified tin, really. But the thing I was the most excited to see, obviously, because I knew Amelia wasn't with me, was my Grogu blue macaron cookies. So I saw them at the store and I thought, okay, I've got to get them for Amelia. So they've remained sealed. We'll open them as well. I'll have to open them as well. And so I then quickly put on the Facebook group, by the way, these are at the train station at the event, because other people had said it was at this certain chain store, but whenever you went there, it was sold out. And then I think I went the next day and it was all sold out. So don't say I'm a trendsetter, and I was a content creator influencer back then, but it's always been in my blood. So that was, I think, pretty much it for the pre-celebration Japan experience. It was, I'll be honest, a lot more fun than I was expecting. I was expecting to be quite bored by myself, but I think it was the combo of seeing people and, well, Star Wars was everywhere. Oh, I didn't talk about the arcade machine.
Oh.
The arcade game, yeah. Sorry, quick thing. There was a 7-story arcade shop, like video game arcade shop.
Wow.
And I thought they're gonna have Star Wars. There's gonna be a Star Wars. So I went up to the 6th floor, scouted every floor, and I found it was Star Wars Battle Pod. And what that is you sit in a chair and you're in like the turret of a ship, pretty much. And
That's cool.
It's like a dome around you. It's like a VR thing, and you're like going around shooting things. And there was someone else in there. And I remember waiting 15 minutes. I was committed to going in, and it was annoying because I had my backpack, I had a bag, I had my like denim jacket with me, but I was like putting my stuff down. I had like $15 in yen ready to slot into the
I will
machine.
be playing this game.
I'm playing every level in this game. And I remember there was someone standing outside. As soon as I started, someone stood outside and I was like, I'm playing all the levels. I don't know how to tell you this. I'm here for the entire experience. So I played every level. They had like some Revenge of the Sith, episode 7, episode 6 stuff. It was all fun, like mini missions you could do. And, you know, you feel like you're in Star Wars, but it was fun. The last mission, I remember it was your Darth Vader after the first Death Star blows up and you're trying to escape.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to fight some rebels. So it was the first level that wasn't in a movie, per se.
That's clever. Yeah.
And it was fun, but this, because it was the level 8, this was the coin eating level where they would intentionally make it impossible. So I think I tried the level 2 or 3 times and I just couldn't get it. And at some point I was like, okay, this is the level you're not meant to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it. So that was a really fun experience playing. And that was it's a bit of a retro machine, so I hadn't seen it in many places. I think the Force Awakens levels were added recently, but I think it's a machine that's been around for a while. Okay. But that was a really fun, another little Star Wars experience. So that was pretty much it, I think. And like I was saying earlier, it was a lot more fun than I was expecting. It was great to meet new people, just going around Japan, backtracking
Get out
to
of your
shops.
Comfort zone.
Yeah, go on a 50-minute train ride to a kitchenware shop and buy a few fun things and going to a Star Wars vintage shop. And yeah, it was a really amazing experience of meeting people and going to Star Wars shops specifically. I think going on a themed holiday was fun. Rather than going on like obviously traveling is fun, but going on a Star Wars holiday specifically, that was a lot of fun. And obviously, sorry, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, Japan has a big influence on Star Wars because obviously episode 4 and Obi-Wan is based on samurai and Japanese culture, which George Lucas himself said Japan was a big thing, and that's something they mentioned at Celebration was it's a bit fitting that it's in Japan because Japan really influenced Star Wars movies and TV shows and media generally, and we see it in what's Diana Lee's character in Ahsoka? Morgan Elspeth. She's very samurai inspired, and like I was saying, Obi-Wan, and the Jedi Order even. So look, I personally wasn't like, wow, I really see the influence, but it was just cool being in
knowing where it comes
from. Away from home for Star Wars, and you're looking for all these Star Wars things and meeting new people, trying amazing food. But I think that's it. So it was an incredible experience. I'd highly recommend Japan. It was an amazing buzz, you could tell, and looking at other content creators that were there at the time and seeing what they were doing. And I think Star Wars Sith, he was like, this is the best Wagyu burger place I've ever been to. I went there. It was good. Wagyu's better in Australia. But I remember going, I was like, I think my dad can make better burgers. Yeah. It was like an American, like 50s diner aesthetic. And I was like, I didn't really come to Japan for this. But the sushi was nice. 7-Elevens were great. And that is it, I think, for this episode of Cast of the Whills. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you follow us on any of those platforms, you're officially a guardian of the Whills.
Indeed.
Till then, may the podcast be with you. Bye.
Bye.